Hey y'all, Mariacom here again. I appreciate you listening if you are here tuning in. That is awesome. I've had a pretty crappy couple of days. Obviously it's not the worst it could be, but they were not an ideal couple of days. And I'm just really stressed and frustrated with life, with work, with things. And that is annoying, and I wish I didn't have to be stressed and frustrated, and I just wish life could be easier. That would be nice. I remember being promised that when I was younger, that hey, when you're an adult and you get things figured out and you have a job, life will, once you have a career, life will be better. And I just don't have a career. I have a job, but it's not a career. So, um, I don't think I ever have had a quote unquote career, to be honest. So, but yeah, I'm just kind of frustrated that life is not a little easier. I consistently feel like previous generations told us that constantly while they were secretively pulling up the ladder that the ladders that they climbed so that we would not have a chance to climb them. And all the while promising us life would be easier someday. I feel like that's what happened and it's very frustrating. Anyway, over the weekend I had been planning on sending a text or an email or something to that effect to my mom in response to her note that I read on recording a little while ago. Basically just saying, here's my ultimatum, and if you cannot do these things, then we can never have a relationship again. I chickened out and did not do that, but that's largely because I was just having a crappy weekend and I didn't want to make it worse. Yes, I am constantly thinking about it, and it's something I should probably do, but also, I will be constantly thinking about it after that as well, so it won't actually fix anything. Uh, but yeah, I chickened out. I'm a big baby. I mean, on the one hand, it feels like chickening out. On the other hand, it does feel like keeping my boundaries up and saying, yeah, you sent me this note, but this note doesn't actually address the problems, so I'm just not going to engage. I do think that is also, a healthy response. So it works even if it's not what the plan was for for the weekend. I just don't know what the actual I don't know. I really should probably talk to, at the very least, my sister and brother-in-law about it a little bit and explain some of this stuff to them too. Um, but yeah, it's hard because I know my sister is still both of them are still trying to like have a relationship with my parents. They are still in contact with my parents. It's probably fine. I don't have a problem with them because they weren't involved with the thing that was the last straw. I know I've mentioned this before in previous recordings, but they were not involved with any of that, so they weren't there. And to my knowledge, unless my parents have talked to them about it, I don't know if they know what happened. So, part of the problem is that my sister and I have not really. We know that shit has happened in each of our lives that, like, the other one doesn't necessarily know a lot about, but we don't talk about that stuff very much. For example, when I was in grad school and did not live in my home state, I lived in a different state for graduate school. My sister was dating a guy who was not very great, and I still have not heard this from her. I've only heard this secondhand, so I don't know the details. My understanding is that he beat her up at one point when I was not here. And that is a large part of why they are not together anymore, why she broke up with him. I actually don't know a lot about their breakup either, now come to think of it. But anyway, I do not know what actually happened. Like, I have heard from my parents when we were still talking, and I've heard a little bit from my brother. My brother didn't live here either, so I don't know how much my brother knows, but I, like, what I have heard is that he beat the crap out of her. I don't know. I don't know how bad it was. I don't know if she went to the hospital or anything like that, because no one has really ever talked about it. Again, we are Midwesterners and we don't like conflict and we don't like to talk about problems. So, probably not very healthy, but that is one thing that we have, like, never really talked about, and I feel like it's not really my place to bring it up, so I never really have. But yeah, that is something that, like, I wish she would talk to me about. I wish she would feel comfortable talking to me about that, but it's fine. I haven't talked to her about, like, the last straw that made me go no contact with my parents, so, I mean, there's that. I haven't had anything like that bad ever happen to me, so I don't know. I don't have, like, a comparable thing to bring up to her, but yeah. So I feel like it's hard for me to, like, be like, "Oh, you need to tell me this," and then I'll reciprocate by telling you this other thing. As much as I would like to know so that I can understand, like, things that have happened to her and all of that more, I know it's not my place to ask. So maybe eventually she'll feel like telling me, but it's not the end of the world if she doesn't. Um but yeah, I know I should probably talk to my sister and brother-in-law a little bit more about why I do not want to be in contact with my parents anymore. I really do need to, like, talk to them about it because they still have a relationship with my parents, and my brother-in-law has mentioned a couple of times that, like, my mom has asked him stuff about me. And it hasn't been a lot. It's been like, "Oh, your mom was wondering if you got the card or whatever." And I'm just like, "Why is she asking you about it?" But I mean, I know I won't respond, and that's the thing. Like, she just needs to stop. That's the thing. She needs to understand that what it means when I say I don't want to have a relationship with you. She needs to understand that, and she doesn't. And she thinks she's going to fix it somehow by fake. I don't even know. Like, I don't understand why she thought her response, her note, was going to fix any of it. This was never intended to be a conversation about this, but here we are. I don't understand why she thought that was going to fix anything. I don't understand why she thought "we're just different people" was going to make me want to talk to them again. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, in a compromise, like, let's pretend there is a chance I would ever talk to them again. They would have to compromise something. Because otherwise, it just goes back to me never being myself around them. Me never being myself when I'm talking to them. Is that what they actually want? Because it makes them feel better to be talking to me, even if I'm not being myself? Like, why is that something anyone would ever want? I don't understand why you would want someone to stop being themselves just so you could have a relationship with them. That is so backwards and messed up and selfish. Like, that is the thing. That is incredibly selfish. I know that they think, well, I know at least my mom. I don't really know what my dad thinks, to be honest. The longer I am not in contact with them, the more I am just like, I don't really think I actually know my dad. Which is wild. Because, like, when my mom... There was a huge chunk of my childhood where my mom was working overnights, and we spent more time with my dad, because my mom was sleeping a lot of the time. I mean, I shouldn't say a lot of the time. She was a very present mother, even though she was working overnights. And I don't know how she did that, but she did somehow. But, like, my dad would get us up for school in the mornings and stuff when we were really little. And my dad would pick us up from school a lot of the time. And, like, if we needed to call someone during the day, we knew our dad's work phone number to call him. So, it's just, like, an interesting thing. Despite the fact that he spent a lot of time with us when we were growing up, I don't know him, really. I don't, like, know how he... I know how he thinks about some things. I don't know how he thinks or feels about us as his children, which is kind of a wild thing to realize. But yeah, so I kind of chickened out over the weekend. I was gonna send my mom a text, and I didn't. The thing is, I don't want to send a bunch of texts. I don't want to send anything, really. I sent a letter thinking this will get no response, or it will get a text message saying, sorry. I mean, that's the thing. They have not apologized for anything. And again, they probably think they don't have to. They probably think they're just fine. They probably think they've done nothing wrong. They think this is just a difference of opinion, or whatever. They don't understand that this is more than that. This is having vastly different morals and vastly different value systems, and I just don't understand how we can ever have a relationship. And, like, the other day, my brother-in-law's family was kind of doing a lot of stuff this weekend, and those were the highlights of my weekend, even though I had a crappy weekend. Those were the highlights, like, hanging out with his family a little bit. But one of the things, my brother-in-law gave me a ride yesterday to dinner with his family, because my sister couldn't be there, but I could and he could, so he gave me a ride. And when we were on the way, it was either on the way there or back. I think it was on the way back. Like, he said something along the lines of, I don't understand how people can, like, just not be paying attention to what's going on in the world, and I don't understand how anyone can be okay with what's happening. And, like, again, like, I didn't want to bring up my parents, really, so I didn't, but I had the thought of, like, my parents are still okay with this, because they either are not paying attention, or they are legitimately in support of some of the terrible crap going on right now. I don't know which one scares me more. But I wanted to bring that up, and I'm just like, maybe I should actually talk to them about this stuff, because that is the thing. I don't understand how anyone can, first of all, I don't understand how people cannot be paying attention. That's wild to me. It is insane to me to just, like, be pretending everything is fine, or be pretending it doesn't matter. That's just wild to me. I cannot imagine being so closed off to to, like, the terrible stuff going on right now. I understood to an extent when it was, like, happening elsewhere. If it's something that's, like, happening overseas, or if it's something that's happening in, like, New York or California, I can understand. I don't agree with it, but I can understand, like, people saying it doesn't affect them, so it doesn't matter. Again, I don't agree with that, but I can understand the mindset. I don't understand it when it's happening in your backyard. Like, we're not that far from Minneapolis. I cannot understand ignoring what is happening there. Can't understand that at all. So, especially when you have family living there. But yeah, it's just mind-boggling to me. And I've gone off on a tangent. I was trying to talk about... I mean, I wasn't really trying to talk about anything. But I got on the topic of my parents and all of the no contact stuff again. The way that they seem to be approaching this, the no contact thing, is very similar to the rest of stuff, where they're just like, it doesn't affect me, so I don't care. Like, I will forever be flabbergasted and depressed and disappointed with the response to my letter explaining my reasoning of not wanting to talk to them. And the response being, well, we're just different people. We should still have a relationship. We're just different people, but that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. Now stop. Stop cutting us off. Like, that ain't how this works. That's never going to be how this works. I have too high of a moral standard for that. And that's just kind of sad. And I do not understand just wanting to bury your head in the sand and pretend everything is fine. I don't get that. That's how they approach so many other things, and that's what they're doing with this very personal conflict. They just want to pretend it's not real, and that is very frustrating. Have any of the rest of you dealt with this sort of thing? Anyone listening? Have you dealt with going no contact with close relatives? And does it ever get easier? Does it ever get better? And have any of you reconciled with them? What did it take? I'm just trying to decide if it's ever gonna be a possibility. Right now, it doesn't feel like it ever will be. But I don't know. And I think that's where I will end this. On that very depressing note. I am actually I am seriously curious if anyone out there has dealt with this. Have you reconciled? Have you not? And why on either side of that? Why did you reconcile and why didn't you? And if you did reconcile, what did it ultimately take? I never expect to get everything I want out of it. I am never expecting them to be like, oh yeah, we really sucked at a lot of these things and we're gonna totally change. I don't expect that. I would like them to at least acknowledge some of it. But that's the problem, is that my mom's note didn't really acknowledge any of it. Her note literally skirted around everything, so... Ugh. I don't know. Anyway, let me know if you have anything to add in the comments. And, like I said at the beginning, I appreciate you listening if you did. It really does mean a lot to me to see at least someone listening to my rambling. And yeah, this has been my Riacom, rambling kind of incoherently about the no contact with my parents stuff some more. But yeah, I appreciate you listening. This has been my Riacom, and I will try and chat at you again soon. Bye!